like more and more, it would be good to see computers like create worlds, won't it? And so this isn't exactly that, but it's the very, very beginning of it. So instead of everything being prescribed and written out and programmed down to the last detail by a human and then just running it, more and more computers are going to have their own thoughts. They're going to decide what to do autonomously. Environments are going to be created in their own way according to a few sets of rules, like in the way the world is created by a few sets of rules, you know, the laws of physics. Well, maybe there's loads of them, but and so it's always interesting when you have a bit of software creating something that's kind of more than the sum of its parts. When you have a few simple rules and out of it comes a load of complexity. That's always really interesting. Some people think like the whole of physics might actually be based around algorithms as opposed to maths. So no, I don't really know what I'm talking about now. But you know, Stephen Wolfram believes that everything is reducible to a load of algorithms. So anyway, that's just interesting that you can create a kind of an infinite amount of complexity with a tiny, tiny amount of rules. It's like mathematicians have been interested in for ages, and computer scientists are very interested in. And while this isn't exactly a whole world being created out of a few rules, it's just like the very beginnings of that. In some tiny little way, the software is sort of deciding what to do itself and presenting you with something that still feels like art. But at no point has a person actually predefined.
It's quite a bizarre feeling to know that I've created a piece of music that will go on forever. I suppose not many people can say that. Sometimes you listen to music and it feels like it goes on forever. Hopefully this one will be a pleasure to listen to, and hopefully people will get a lot of joy out of it, because it's something that personally I've taken a lot of joy out of, simply because it's music that creates itself, which means from my point of view I can experience moments in it that I feel like I haven't created, because I've given all of these elements across. I've kind of given birth to all of these elements, all of these different fractured parts. And when those parts come together, they're doing so in a way which I haven't instructed them to. So I can listen to it and find moments which are a real pleasure, and it's not often you can say that about something you've created yourself, I suppose. I think one of the really nice things about music is that every time it's performed live, you're experiencing a unique event, and you're experiencing a moment which when you're listening live to a piece of music, is in that moment, and you can record it, but you can't recreate being there in that moment. And one of the really lovely things about the Infinite Promise music concept is that every moment is unique, and you are experiencing something that nobody else is listening to at the same time, nobody else will hear again. And there's that kind of fleeting element to it, that sense of the fact that you can't grab it, you can't stop it and hold it. Once it's happened, it's gone, which is really beautiful, I think, and a really unique way to appreciate music.
Yeah, one of the things was because none of us know anything about music, and it was quite hard basically for everyone to be on the same page and understand like what the musician was saying about how we're going to structure this.
Yeah, we didn't even know what terms to use, like how to describe what we wanted, or like, because we have no knowledge of music whatsoever. So those conversations were a bit of a struggle to start with. Because we were talking about some things like in quite a technical sense, and then we had an expert who was talking about stuff in a very musical sense, that in terminology that we didn't understand. So yeah, that was quite a...
Well, the shoot was amazing. It was like a crazy, well, I was in LA for 10 days, but the shoot pretty much happened over like two days. And we was on location at Tony Kaye's actual house, for one of them, and then we were kind of roaming around Los Angeles, Venice Beach, Hollywood, up into the Hollywood Hills. So it rang like clockwork, but it was just like, you know, fun, like energetic. You know, we had 26 girls we were shooting, and so for me the shoot was the highlight. Obviously, when you start seeing it together, and you have a sigh of relief when this thing actually works, because you know you always kind of bite off more than you can chew until it comes together. It's like, oh, I don't know if it's I'm sure it's going to work. Tony like takes it to the next level, and he's always like pushing you, and sometimes you just got to hang on to his coattails and go with it. But because of his genius, because of his energy, because of his experience, it takes your ideas into a better place, into a place that you never imagined. And essentially, when you're creative and you're working with like external, that's what you want from anyone, really, and it's what you and you rarely get that. But I suppose that's why he's a legend and has made some of the best commercials, ever. The idea really interested him. Just the whole concept of it was something that he hasn't done before, or anyone's done before, really. So I think he found this whole idea of an infinite advertising machine. The fact that once this thing starts rolling, in a year's time, we would have made more adverts than the whole of the advertising industry in the history of it has ever made. And that's like a crazy, interesting, bonkers thing to be part of, really. I think that's why he liked it.